Hey guys, just a quick update in reference to these Terrifier episodes. One of the hardest things about the Reverend and I recording is that we live in two completely different states. And sometimes we encounter internet issues, and we definitely did during these particular episodes. I did edit them as best as possible, but you're going to hear the glitches here and there. You're going to hear some cuts, and there's just not a lot I could have done to fix that, but I did the best I can. And we hope it doesn't take away from this episode because it was one that we were definitely passionate about recording. So stick with us, and it does get better in the following episodes that we have done. So thank you for listening to Death Holler.
Welcome to Death Holler. Do you like scary movies? Welcome to Season 3, Slash or Pass. There will be laughter, tears, tender moments,
Jason. Jason. My special boy.
but most of all, screams. Remember, when you're in Death Holler, listener discretion is always advised. We hope you have a killer time.
Well, speaking of a killer time, we just got through the Halloween spooky season again. How did that go for you?
You know, I barely made it out alive. It was wonderful, actually. It was a great time. Lots of spooks. Got the yard all spooked out. Lots of trick-or-treaters because we have that house down the street that's really pulling them in. I'm deathly jealous of them. Really wish I could be at that level. And no one on our street decorated. So there was people handing out candy, but I think either they don't want to compete with the neighbor, and every year I garner more and more decor, and so they're just like, oh, we're just going to let her do all the work. And it's like, y'all, you can put something up. One thing. Put a zombie in the yard. Put a blow up. Something. Celebrate. So that part was sad, but the trick-or-treat is, so fun.
Yeah, we don't have any of that around here because of trunk or treat. So,
oh yeah, it killed
we have that have to deal with. Yeah, church across the street. It's all of that trunk or treat business going on, and kids are just like, "Yeah, we got our candy." Well, that's the whole point, right? I don't think so, but whatever. Our generation supported trunk or treat, so we're to blame for this. So yeah. I can't really say much.
I'm not a supporter of that. We are big. Everything that our kids have experienced, they've had to earn in a way, and I'll explain. So trick or treat, you want a huge sack of candy that you're going to eat to the beginning of next year. You're going to walk and you're going to carry, and if you can't carry it anymore, that means you're done. And that's how we were raised. I don't know if that's how you were raised, but we carried our shit,
They're not that close, so it was a lot of riding around in the car with my mom to get trick-or-treating done. But we went out, quite a ways, and it was always an adventure just to see how the houses were, decorated and what kind of treats they had. And there's always the person on the porch or whatever that was suspiciously like an inanimate, like scarecrow, and it was like, take one piece of candy, and then, inevitably when you reach to grab the piece of candy, they pop up and scare you to death. It's a lot of fun. I personally don't see the thrill of trunk or treat because it's a candy cafeteria is what I call it. You get a bunch of cars lined up.
Yeah.
Kids go from one to the next, scoop it and whatever they've got, and like, yay, we got candy. It's like, Oh, there's nothing about there's nothing fun about that to me whatsoever. It takes all the thrill out of Halloween. I mean, driving until it got dark, and then finally it's like mom's like, all right, time to call tonight, and then you go back home and you get to watch your Halloween specials on TV. But the 80s were a special time, and they're long past now.
Ugh, we miss it. We miss it so bad. I will say that it does surprise me, because the one thing I envy about the area you live in is that you still have that small town feel, where you guys have the huge like parade, and you have the headless horseman and everything, and you have the pumpkins and all that shit. So I will say, like, I wish that we had that out here, but it's like we have something you don't. We have trick-or-treating still, although we do have trunk-or-treat too, but I think the kids want best of both, because they'll go to a trunk-or-treat and then they'll go trick-or-treating too.
And see, I wouldn't even mind it if the trunk or treat was done like, a day or two before, and then Halloween was just left to what it is. But no, it's like I've literally seen this year the trunk or treats the day before, and then of course the big churches are like, don't go out on that satanic holiday, more trunk or treat, and then the parents are like, yeah, we don't want to really go out all night anyway, so yeah, go get your candy, kids.
That's dirty.
I feel like it's the parents being lazy more than anything. I mean, really, they're the ones that are taking the kids to this. So,
yeah.
I mean, who's to really blame for it?
So I take it y'all don't even have any teenagers that are trick-or-treating that are coming around to the houses?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
I
mean, I don't, they're not really seen out and about. And I mean, I'm not even the only one. Like the other side of the state in Louisville, like, a guy I follow on Facebook who's a local artist here. He got all like excited. He had like 2 different outfits he had planned for the night, and he's like this little small neighborhood that is almost looks like Haddonfield is what it looks like. I mean, and and even like one of the outfits he had was Corey from Halloween Ends or whatever, and he said that after the first 30 minutes to an hour there was nobody, and he said that he's fairly sure that the local trunk or treat's got all the kids.
That's dirty. So. It's sad because it's such a, traditional thing. I know like a lot of places, like we don't have out here, sometimes we do, is carolers. We used to have carolers during the holidays. That's not really a thing anymore. I don't know. I just, you're right. The 80s were so long ago, was another time, and again, we miss them.
Yeah, we have a podcast about that next episode.
We
about a movie involving the 80s.
2 movies, technically.
Yes, they are. One's, it still would be in the 80s. So yes, both of them would be.
Yeah.
I watched a shit ton of movies though, new ones during the Halloween season, and it was a mixed bag. But I was pretty happy with what I saw this year.
The movies were killer this year, to say the very least. The movies that have been put out on Peacock, Amazon, Shudder, of course. Shudder, I know we'll talk about one. Whew, okay, yeah, let's roll into it, because, man, we were gifted this year.
Yeah, the first one I watched was Deadstream, which I think might have been from either way earlier in the year or maybe late last year on Shudder. It's the modern day Evil Dead. And I'm not talking about, Evil Dead Rise or Evil Dead Remake. I'm talking the old, speaking of 1980s, the original Evil Dead, or maybe even Evil Dead 2 because of the humor, who is going to he's trying to get his sponsorship back, and he does all these stupid dares for, like his channel. So he's been dared to go to the most haunted house in America, and he goes there to stream, and basically, it's he encounters it's basically Evil Dead. I mean, like the slapstick, he gets covered in shit all throughout the movie. I mean, and it's great. Like, I was really pleased when I watched that movie. I didn't think that they could capture that type of humor, but also be it's got some creepy shit. Was also, no, it's not actually not on Shudder. It's another streaming service I think came out with maybe Screambox, but it's it's an H.P. Lovecraft adaptation that actually has Heather Graham in it. I've not seen her in forever in anything.
Oh, yeah.
She plays like this, the lead character, who's this doctor who's in a mental institution at the beginning of the movie, and she's talking to Barbara Crampton, who's been in all the original H.P. Lovecraft stuff back in the 80s, From Beyond and Reanimator. She's still gorgeous for some reason. I mean, that woman has not, if she's aged to look better than she did. It's crazy.
Nice.
But like they're supposed to be friends that were like psychiatrists, and she's like, how did you get this way? And she talks, and it's this story about this guy, and it's actually the main character, the main bad guy is played by the kid from The Babysitter. If you remember that Netflix movie that we talked about, it's the kid from that. He's grown up now. He has several scenes where he's banging Heather Graham, so good on him.
Jesus. And by the way, folks, she's 53 years old.
And you're talking about Heather Graham or Barbara Crampton?
Heather Graham, sorry.
Okay. Heather Graham actually looks pretty decent in the movie too for her age. And basically it involves this ancient creature who can body swap. And whenever he takes over your body, you get trapped in whatever the previous body is and get discarded as he keeps, and that's how he stays alive. So it's based on the original story, The Thing on the Doorstep, from H.P. Lovecraft, and it's actually a pretty good adaptation. I got to give him credit for that.
Nice.
Another book adaptation was Dark Harvest. I summarized it to you as Pumpkinhead meets The Hunger Games.
Yeah.
So every year, this town is stalked by this pumpkin-headed creature from one of the local, pumpkin patches or whatever, just like and everybody in town, all the young people in town, all the young men, I should say, are let loose to see who, because it's rumored that if the pumpkin-head creature can make it to the church, then their town is doomed to have like decades, or at least a decade of like poor harvest, like basically death and destruction. And so every year all the young men in town have to go out on the street and risk dying to try to take this thing out. And you're following the main character, and his brother was the one that won it the previous year. And there's some dark stuff that's revealed throughout the movie, and I don't want to spoil that, but it's got some pretty decent kills. The creature I like the look of the creature, and it's set in like the 50s/60s, so it's got a very like old timey vibe to it.
Yeah.
In that, and it's definitely set during Halloween, so it's got all that going on. Cobweb is a one that's kind of like a psychological children's story. The way that it plays out, it actually has the guy who plays Homelander as like the dad in the movie, and he is creepy as fuck in this movie.
That guy has a look to him that just you can't read him very well, so you don't know if he's perfect as Homelander, because you can't tell if he's being genuinely nice, which he's probably not, or he's about to kill you.
He's playing basically that character in this. He's the kid's dad, and like he's like the regular, like, well, how you doing, champ, type character, until he's not.
Yeah. And
then whenever he's not, he is every bit as like intimidating as he is as Homelander.
Yeah.
But basically this kid starts there's a creature, a little parents are not what they seem to be, and that she was locked inside, and that she's actually a sister, and that she was locked inside the wall for being bad, and she wants him to free her. And he goes throughout the movie acting out more and more, and basically becoming a nuisance to his parents. But then they do some really sick shit, like lock him, like chain him in a dark basement, and like completely hide the door with a refrigerator so that nobody can find him, and leave him down there for days. Like, that's their way of punishing the kid.
Damn.
But then at the end of the movie, it takes a turn, and then you realize why the movie's called Cobweb, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
Boo! That sounds very heartbreaking. I could hear it in your tone.
Well, the movie's really good.
Yeah.
It's the last, I want to say
Yeah.
it's last the very end of the movie, maybe the last 3 minutes. They tried to make an ending to the movie that's smarter than it should have been. Like if they would have just went with a basic, like, here's what it is. There's no, not really any, subtext to it. It would have worked, but they tried to go the route of like the Babadook or whatever, where they're like, oh, this represents something else. And I'm just like, okay, if you want to, I mean, they still kind of held to the, what the movie is, more like a dark children's fairy tale, but then they tried to add too much at the end. And I feel like they almost fucked it up.
And that's the disappointing part, is that all it takes is 5 minutes to fuck up a film sometimes, especially at the end.
Well, that's the thing. That's whenever I was talking about this with Cody, which he didn't mind the ending as bad as I did. But I told Cody, I was like, that's the thing with movies. Like some movies that I've been through, I almost was like, okay, this is a piece of shit until the last part of the ending. And then it brought it up and I'm like, okay, I love this fucking movie. And then there's other movies like this one that it's like, it's coasting along and it's like, wow, this is going to be one that I want to watch all the time. And then the ending comes up and it's like, did you really have to end it that way?
Yeah.
Really?
My little heart gets broken sometimes, but you know what? Hey, it's all in good fun,
Night of the Hunted's on Shudder. It's a new one that's on there, and it's really good. It's not supernatural whatsoever, but it's basically about this woman who's been cheating on her husband.
Ooh.
And I mean, that's established at the beginning of it. And he's messaging her about like going to a fertility doctor. Apparently, they've been having trouble having a kid. And I think it's kind of revealed throughout the movie that because of that and some other stuff, that's why she felt like she needed to cheat for whatever reason. But then there's other stuff they work in the movie because she works for a pharmaceutical company. And anyways, like her and the guy she's cheating with, she's like, we got to go. You got to take me back. I'm supposed to meet with my husband for this thing. And he kind of gives her a little shit. It's like, are you ever going to tell him? And she's like, fuck you, and then they get that, and so they have to go to a gas station because his car is leaking out gas. He doesn't know that till he gets there. But when they get to the gas station, she goes inside. It's like very early in the morning. It's like, 2 or 3 a.m. or something. The gas station attendant their head is exploded.
Oh, okay.
And there is a sniper on a billboard across from the place, and the sniper was the husband to the woman who was working in the convenience store, the gas station. She was cheating on him, and so now it's called Night of the Hunted because that woman that you've been following from the beginning of the movie, she has to try to survive inside this gas station. Anytime she moves in line of sight of that billboard, a sniper bullet comes whizzing into the place.
Wow.
And so it's, and then there's a point where she's able to communicate with him through a walkie-talkie, and they start talking, and it's got a little bit of political subtext to it because the guy who's on the billboard is like an ex-vet from some war. Like he's disillusioned with how the country's turned out. He blames and he's talking about like how the jab, was manufactured by the pharmaceutical company to make everybody sick, and how she pushed it. And like, there's some back and forth between the two of them. And I've heard some people kind of they think it's a little cringy in that sense. I thought the discussion back between the two of them is pretty good. But like anytime somebody enters that gas station and she thinks she's got a split second to maybe, have somebody, help her get out of there, bam, like they get taken out too. So it's in one location, but they do a very good job with it.
Damn.
And then of course they wasn't playing it around here whenever I saw it. So,
well, hold on, Reverend, because you skipped a little bit because our interwebs. Can you reintroduce the movie that we both seen that's on Shudder?
When Evil Lurks.
Oh, so good.
It did not scare me as much as it scared you. It just didn't. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I forgot to put it on here. I watched another movie that I will mention after this that did actually scare me. But When Evil Lurks, I got to give them credit. I love the story building that they built up in that movie.
Yeah. I mean, this movie was so much, to me, great lore behind it. I thought the fear was there definitely, I could feel it as, a parent that is going through what the dad's going through, but also so much disappointment because of decisions that are being made.
Yeah, and I mean, like, you can't really fault the characters because they're just doing their best, but
Yeah.
there's bad decision being made after bad decision, like, people not trusting, who they should trust, because I mean, the gist of the movie is it's like a pseudo zombie apocalypse, but if demons were the cause of the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, it's definitely some kind of post-apocalyptic world.
It's actually a post what do they call that, where I don't know, I'm blanking on it, when in like the end, religious types or whatever think that you'll be, sent to heaven or whatever,
not a rapture. It's
the rapture. Yeah,
okay.
Post-rapture.
Is it post-rapture or is it like mid-rapture?
They hint that God has basically God is left, is the way they kind of phrase it. Like, he's turned his back on humanity and now the demons are taking over the world. So it's kind of like what the world's supposed to be like whenever, after the rapture and hell has been unleashed on earth. That's kind of what they hint at in this movie. In this movie,
they created a monster that I have never heard of before. Now, I have a coworker. She listens to this podcast, and she loves scary movies, and she is Hispanic. I call her the real Mexican because of the two of us, she's the real Latina. But she, Sarai, I had her watch. I was like, hey, you need to watch this on Shudder. It's called When Evil Lurks. I go, and then when she watched it and she was telling me she loved it, I said, is this lore? Have you heard of this lore before? Is this part of our, beliefs? And she's like, no. And I was like, what about the term rotten? Because that is the monster they created. It's called a rotten. And basically what a rotten is, it's a vessel for the demon to be born. It's like almost like a mom carrying a child, but it's not a woman. It's whoever gets possessed. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's weird. The way that they set it up, you can't kill the rotten. Like in a zombie movie, your first idea is to just blow their head off. And that's actually a bad thing, because when you unleash the demon in this universe from the rotten is actually, as bad as it is, because it brings a curse to the area that it's in.
Yeah.
It's actually better because it's containing the worst of the demon inside of it, because whenever it's unleashed, I mean, everybody in the immediate area is potentially going to get possessed.
It's like a bomb of sorts that's going to affect everyone within X amount of miles in the radius.
Yeah, and they have rules like electric light tends to bring the demons. Which kind of makes sense, because fire, you think that there's a purifying like aspect in most lore about fire, so fire's okay, but electrical light's a little bit different. And I'm trying to think what else they say in the movie. You can't the cities are prone to bring them about too, so you're better off in the boonies. Animals, do not have animals around you, because they love animals as a vector.
Well, yeah, and the animals, as we clearly saw, you can't tell what's going on with the animals. You also cannot tell what's going on with the person that may have some sort of mental, maybe it's not mental.
Neurodivergent is how they call them.
Oh, that's the term to use nowadays. Well, I'm here to tell you that the word that they used was autistic, because in Latin America, we don't have a term for delayed. The proper term, and please don't come at me for this, is the word retard, because it is an actual word that I think that we deserve to take back to describe somebody that is delayed. Retarded means delayed. It does not mean anything bad. I know people want to use it as a bad term. I have a few mothers of children with autism that it's a word that they use, and not in a conniving way, not in a mean way. It's a technical term, everyone, but they can't use that. So they had to use the word autistic. They had to describe him as autistic. This kid was not autistic. He had a lot more going on than autism.
He was, I mean, way far down on the spectrum. I mean, as far as like just very incapacitated. And they set up in the movie, which is interesting, that people that have that condition, the demons, when they take over, they don't know how to work the meat puppet because the brain doesn't work the meat puppet like every other person.
Correct.
So.
And I thought that was fucking amazing. Also, can we talk about that actor that played the autistic child? When he started walking around normal, and I know that's a spoiler alert, but come on, there is so much more going on in this film. I was like, fucking give this kid an award. Fucking give him all the awards, because I really thought it was an autistic kid.
Well, I have to agree with that. There are a couple scenes in this movie, though, that stand out to me just for the audacity of what they did. I'm not going to say what it is, but there is a scene when one of the characters is going to find the mother of the children, and what she's doing whenever he finds her is like, I've never seen that. And there is also the scene with the dog, and I'm not going to spoil that, but Cujo has nothing on this animal.
Cujo has nothing on this certified good boy that had no control of his body at the time. Therefore, he is not to be blamed for anything that occurred. He can neither confirm nor deny the allegations being placed against him. My client is innocent.
But it's one of those movies that some people don't like because the ending is very dour and it doesn't answer anything.
It sure doesn't.
But I don't know what you want from. I mean, this is a world where literally, I mean, they've said God is left.
Yeah.
So there's no hope for the people that are, in this world.
Yeah.
It's just try your best to survive.
There is a point, and I won't spoil, but I have to say it, where a character is spared, but were they? Do you feel me? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, and that is, there's so many points of interest in this film. This film, by the way, I came home, I dreamt about it all night. My husband watched it again. I dreamt about it while he watched it. And I would say 2 or 3 times since we've seen it, I will not watch it again. That's how good it was. I cannot emphasize how much it's so good. I refuse to watch it again. In my opinion, I am Latina, and those things do affect me, and we believe in it whether we want to or not, because, again, I'm not Latina, hence the way I just said it. But all that being said, 2 or 3 times since he's watched it at home, where I did not, I just watched it. I have dreamt about the entire film. That was my night's dream, the entire film. And it's not scaring me. Like, the film, dreaming about it isn't scaring me. It's just, for some reason, it's haunting me.
So what was his opinion on the movie?
He really loved it. He loved that movie so much. Now, I didn't want to see this movie. I am not a fan, even though it's in Spanish, and I understand a lot of Spanish. I just don't speak it. I don't like subtitles. I don't like films. I don't like foreign films. It's not my bag, So he forced me to go watch it, and I was like, this looks stupid. And then I was even more mad after I had researched and bought the tickets wait, this is going to be on Shudder in a few days. Like, what the hell? Glad we saw it in the theaters. It was so good. I'm glad we were able to give this it's an independent film, yeah?
Yeah, it is.
I'm glad we were able to give it the monetary benefits it deserves, honestly.
Yeah, it's a world, it's a lore that's ripe for like sequels.
100%.
Whether they want to go that route or not, they could very easily.
It was good. He liked it. I was surprised. And he's like, see, you need to want to go watch it. My kids loved it. My son felt bad for the main character. And that is just the empathy that my child, who is autistic, has. He actually felt bad. So,
well, I mean, that kind of shows that they did a good job, at least.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I don't know if this is the movie you're going to talk about. You said you had one more movie that you didn't put on here. I'm going to say it, and if it's not, I don't have anything to say about this movie, but it's one the husband said you had to watch, and it's called Terrified, and it's on Shudder.
No, it is not, but I will check that out.
Okay, he has it favorited on Shudder just for you, big boy. He did that special just for you.
No, the movie I saw, speaking of sequels, it's actually a prequel. It's Hell House LLC Origins.
Oh, yeah. Is that the one you told me to watch?
Yes.
Okay.
First of all, I would recommend that you watch Hell House LLC. It's found footage. It's a great type movie. Basically, the gist of it, and they've got 4 of these now, counting Origins.
God damn.
I've not seen 2 and 3. So, first, part 1 is there's a group of people who go around and they do these pop-up haunted houses in different places, and they try to pick places that are supposedly haunted, to amp up the haunted house effect. I mean, basically they're doing like a knockoff HHN, if you want to think of it that way.
Nice. Okay.
They picked this place called the Abaddon Hotel that is supposed to be extremely haunted.
Abaddon, really?
Yeah, that's what it's called. And there was a group of people that died in the place years prior. And so these people built a haunted house there. And I'm not going to ruin anything, but there are scenes, it's found footage movie. There are scenes in that movie where the shit that they put in there starts coming to life and moving on its own.
Oh, fuck.
In particular, these fucking creepy ass fucking clowns that they placed in the basement, which is where the satanic rituals and the deaths were supposed to have occurred in the Abaddon Hotel years prior. And, it's the creepiest fucking thing in the movie. Like there's one scene where they send one of the guys through the haunted house before opening night to try it out and see how the the scares work. And he sees shit that, moving, and he's like, hey guy, I mean, there's one scene where he's like, hey guys, funny job with the clown. Well, once he comes back or whatever, they're like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? We've been in here the whole entire time. Ourselves, we've not been in that room. You were the only one that went in there.
Oh,
so
fuck.
they got that kind of shit going on, and it's actually really well done.
So
Origins takes place before that. They kind of set it up like there was this rich family that ended up becoming like a true crime mystery. The father ended up, he disappeared. They don't know what happened to him. They thought that he ended up killing like his son and his daughter. And this is years after one of their other daughters died in a car accident. And there's this like true crime podcaster who has brought her girlfriend / fiance with her. They're in like a lesbian relationship.
What?
And they're going to, and she's there to document, the if she can figure out, because nobody solved the case of what happened in this house. The very first thing they notice is that the clowns from the Abaddon Hotel from the first movie are in part of this house because this family bought the decorations from this local like circus, and it's the same one that has the links to the first movie's Abaddon Hotel. So those creepy ass clowns are back, and they're throughout the whole fucking movie at some point, and man, they are just terrifying to look at. But they do such a good, and like her brother ends up in, he comes there at one point in the movie. He's had like a mental health scare. Her mother tells her that he needs to stay there with her because he's unstable. And so that kind of feeds into it. Is the shit he's seeing real, or is he just is that part of his bender of his mental state that he's going on? And they just descend into hell is what it amounts to inside this haunted mansion.
Jesus.
But she's videotaping all of it for her podcast, and that's how they set up the found footage aspect of it. It's real, in particular near the end when I think it was the brother, when it's his last moments, they show you the last moments that he filmed. And I don't know, it had my heart racing. Like, I was like, I've not been like this in years. Like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that's weird for people probably to hear, but if you're a horror movie junkie, that's what you're chasing the dragon your entire life. You get scared. Like it's harder and harder to find, just like if you're trying to do hardcore drugs, the thrill, like the effect is, kind of wears down. And when you find that one movie, it's like, and this did it. Like, I got to, or can you even remember at this point?
You cut off. So the last part I heard was hardcore drugs, basically. And then.
Oh, I was just going, can you hear me now?
I can, yeah.
Okay. I was just saying that, like, you spend your entire life trying to search for that, that thrill or whatever, and this movie gave me that. So I got to give them credit.
Yeah, that was your movie right there. I think that's what When Evil Lurks was for me.
Yeah, and it makes sense because it's more up it's about a haunted mansion like that. I told you, ghosts are my thing.
Oh, so. Yeah. And one of the things about us, being not even to mention opposite sex, but opposite sides of the country and coming together with scary movies, it's really cool that we have our own shit that scares us,
I think that's my biggest problem whenever people ask me to recommend scary movies, because it's like comedy. It's like, well, what people find funny and what they find scary are different from person to person.
Yeah.
It's almost, I can't remember who said it. There was somebody who made the comment that when you watch a scary movie, you're truly watching it alone, even if you're watching in the theater with somebody you love, because what grabs you from the scary movie is going to be internally different than the person beside of you, just because of life experiences being different. So,
yeah. It is what it is,
All right, let's let these people in. Let's talk about Terrifier.
Let's do it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Death Holler. I'm your host, the Reverend Dr. Death, and joining me, as always, is my co-host and the Latina spirit that never could tolerate moms, La Urena. How do you feel about people that pantomime being trapped in invisible boxes?
I'll tell you what, I'm going to box them out of their fucking invisible box. Don't fucking pull that shit around me. I will start swinging. I don't like that shit.
There's something creepy about a mime. There just is. Like, they kind of skew close to the clown tangent anyways, with their creepy ass makeup, but like they're a little, I don't know, they're a little bit more disturbing, because it's like, what fucking goes through your head that you think a mime is cool, unless you're French, and then, whatever. They got some weird taste over there.
The French like such weird shit.
Hey, we learned in pharmacy school that the French prefer their medicine given as suppositories. I'm just throwing that out there.
Okay, I have not done that. I have not partaken, but I hear that I guess it works faster.
It does bypass a lot of stuff that way, yes.
Reminds me of the term butt chugging. Ever heard of that?
I've heard of wine enemas and that sort of thing, if that's what you're talking about.
You could get buzzed without getting drunk. I don't know. People are fucking weird.
We are finally wrapping up this season of Slasher Pass, and today we're celebrating the arrival of the newest slasher to enter the rotten hearts and demented minds of horror fans, Art the Clown. After first appearing in short films, this psychotic clown has gone on to start a brand new slasher franchise. Following in the footsteps of legends like Jason, Michael, and Freddy, Art seems to relish in the brutality of his kills and isn't afraid to use a gun when necessary to keep his rampage going.
Bullshit.
And I will call bullshit on that to a degree. I kind of like it in part 2 a little bit, but we'll get into that. And of course, playing into coulrophobia, which is the fear of clowns, never hurts either. So put on your face paint, take those bloody clown suits to the laundromat, and keep the bleach and salt ready as we discuss All Hallows Eve, Terrifier 1, Terrifier 2, and then go over the newest information about Terrifier 3. But first, if you're enjoying the podcast listings and helps us grow, also consider following us on social media. You can find us on TikTok and Twitter under Death Holler Pod, and we can be found on Instagram and Facebook under Death Holler Podcast. We appreciate everyone who listens and hope you enjoy the show. All Hallows Eve, which is Attack of the Bees.
Oh, God.
What is that? What is that? What is it? Oh, no, not the bees! Not the bees! Ah! Open my eyes!
There were segments of this movie that I was screaming the same thing as Nicolas Cage. Oh, my eyes. All Hallows Eve 2013 tagline, come out and play. Directed by Damien Leone, written by Damien Leone. Don't know the budget or box office because this was very independently made, and I don't think it really got out there that much. But it's in circulation, and people know it as the first appearance of true appearance of Art the Clown. We are covering in particular Terrifier short film, Left Alive as a quadriplegic. Mike Gianelli, who plays Art the Clown in this, instead of the one that's in the newer movies, which is Thornton, I believe, is his last name. Supernatural psychotic clown. Michael Schimmel, who plays the gas station attendant, who's just doing his job. Jennifer Castellano, who plays the mutilated woman. She's the faceless victim of Art. And Daniel Rodas, who plays man in the car. He's a Rodas. Who's a good Samaritan who gets killed for being a good Samaritan. That's always what happens in these films. If you see somebody screaming off to the side of the road and they're covered in blood, probably need to keep on driving. The Babysitter wraparound short film has Katie McGuire playing Sarah, the babysitter. Mike Gianelli again is Art the Clown, the videotape slasher. So a synopsis, an anthology of short films all featuring Art the Clown in some capacity. The two films that primarily feature a psychotic clown slasher, The Babysitter wraparound story and Terrifier short film. In Terrifier, Art is thrown out of a gas station for pissing and smearing around. Art uses a sketchy black label VHS to travel through a television into a home on Halloween night and murder the two children that are being babysat by Sarah. Faces get removed, Art gets the tattoo, and you should monitor more than just the candy on Halloween night. The body count in Terrifier short is 2 counted and 4 non-counted. So the brain pan, again, Art using his gun because he does that.
Yeah.
Non-counted, we got the mutilated woman with her face ripped off. It's assumed she probably died later, but she could have lived like the heroine from Terrifier 1. And then we have the woman who's the protagonist, and at the end of the movie, she's still technically alive, but her arms and legs have been amputated and, kind of sewn back together at the stubs. And we have slurs carved into her body, such as slut.
That's fucked up.
That's Art the Clown for you.
Yeah.
And then the Babysitter short has 2 counted deaths. Tia, who's the little girl being babysat, her head's cut off and the body is missing.
Ugh.
And then Timmy, his head is cut off and body missing. And they're both laying on their beds when the babysitter comes upstairs and sees that Art the Clown has paid her a visit during the night.
So the heads are on the bed?
Yeah, that's all that's there.
That's fucked up.
And they're younger kids too. The Timmy is like, I want to say he's maybe 10, 11, and like his sister's like 14 or something. So
yeah,
pretty young kids that he takes out. He doesn't discriminate. I'm going to give this the Nick Cage rating of The Flash from 2023. Questionable acting and story. The effects are hit and miss, and Art makes a cameo in some segments like Nick Cage did in the CGI Tim Burton Superman scene from The Flash. It's okay. I mean, it's not one that, especially for an independent like anthology film, I've seen way better. Like outside the ones that I mentioned, the 2 other stories in the movie, I didn't really jive with. I didn't really think they were that great. So.
Yeah.
But the Art the Clown, the Terrifier one that was made later into a movie discussion. Number 1, Terrifier from 2016. No tagline that I could find for this movie.
Well, Art the Clown probably said it. That's why.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he says so much.
Oh, my God. He's his talker.
Directed by Damien Leone, written by Damien Leone, music by Paul Wiley. The budget was...
Wait, what was the budget again?
$35,000.
Ooh, and box office was $416,000. Ooh. Did not do well.
Well, no, I mean, that's a pretty good turnaround.
I'm sorry. I'm thinking like 30. I was almost thinking like 35 million, and then 416 is what they made. Never mind.
No, they barely. I don't know how you make a movie for $35,000, but they did, and that's what they got out of it.
Yeah.
So, principal players, we have Samantha Scafidi playing Victoria Vicky Hayes, who is the final girl? ? We'll get to that. She was in a movie called Demon Hole. I don't want to know what that movie's about. And then Terrifier 2, obviously, she comes back. David Howard Thornton plays the Art the Clown that everybody is aware of, the sadistic clown slasher. He's actually plays the not Grinch in the mean one that just came out. He plays in that movie, the evil Grinch movie that they came out with, kind of like the evil Winnie the Pooh movie that was recently out.
Yeah, so he's the not mean one, or he is the mean one?
He's the Grinch, but I said the not Grinch because the Grinch is owned by Universal. So,
okay.
So he's the knockoff Grinch, the one that kills everybody in that movie.
Oh,
and then obviously he's in Terrifier 2, and he's going to be in Terrifier 3 here shortly. Gino Caffarelli plays Steve, the pizza store owner. He makes another appearance as another character in Terrifier 2. So does Eric Zamora, who plays Ramon, the pizza store employee that has to go in and clean the shit up. That I don't know what it is about Art and smearing his shit all over like bathrooms, but I feel sorry for the people that have to clean them up. Is all I'm going to say.
Yeah, and he sure does like his peanuts.
Oh yeah, he eats a lot of peanuts. Catherine Cochran plays Dawn Sissy, that fine vagina. She was in Faceless After Dark, Terrifier 2, Return to Nukem High, and then Return to Nukem High. Jenna Cannell plays Tara Hayes, the goth pseudo final girl. The one part of the movie that pisses me off to no end, and the reason I still don't like this movie as much as most people do. And we'll get to that. She played in Faceless After Dark, Renfield, The Bye-Bye Man, and she returns in Terrifier 2. Or at least I think in picture form. Like they kind of like say she was killed in the previous movie or whatever.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not meaning this bad, but I don't know how to say his name. Puya Mosini.
I think that's as good as it's going to get, honestly.
She's the cat lady, the crazy cat lady that's living in the abandoned building and has baby dolls.
Okay,
for some weird reason.
Hear me out. Did you think she was slightly hot? Like if she was made down. She wasn't made up. And even then she's still pretty.
If she put on any makeup, she would have been probably a smoke show, yes.
Yeah, I was like, holy crap. Like they could have picked someone definitely uglier. They did not. And yeah, I mean, she was the hottest cat lady you're ever gonna look at. Any bum that comes across that's gonna hit that got lucky.
Well, I mean, you know, technically Art the Clown got lucky because he cut her tits off and was wearing them. So
that is true. He did cop a feel, literally.
Yep. Michael Levy plays Will, the exterminator and co-worker to Mike. He was the producer for Terrifier 2, Phantom Fun World, Hollywood Dreams and Nightmares, the Robert Englund story, and Pennywise, the story of it. And he's an actor in Terrifier 2 and The Dark Offerings. Matt McAllister plays Mike the Exterminator, who also comes back in Terrifier 2, I think in the sum of who died in the first movie. And then we have Corey Duvall, who plays Seth Bolton, the coroner at the end of the movie, who just doing his job again and wrong time, wrong place.
Oh, yeah.
And then I remiss if I don't mention that Katie McGuire, who played the babysitter in All Hallows Eve, comes back and plays Monica Brown, the talk show host, who gets her face ripped off at the beginning of this movie. So there you go.
She was talking shit and kind of got what she deserved.
Synopsis. One Halloween night in Miles County, two party-going young women make the mistake of picking upon an ugly clown. What happened after would result in the deaths of at least 8 people and the horrific disfigurement of another. This is the start of Terrifier's sadistic reign and the poor souls who crossed his path. Heads are rolling, cops are patrolling, and a woman gets cut from stern to stem. I mean, it's a meme. It's right behind you. You know what I'm talking about. Body count, 8 counted, 10 non-counted. I'll get to that. We have Steve, who's decapitated. His head's turned into a jack-o'-lantern.
Pretty cool. I liked it.
That's a good effect. Oh, actually, these movies have awesome special effects.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can't give them shit over that.
Definitely.
Even if they are lacking, it's a lot of other departments. Ramon has his fingers cut off and he's stabbed at least 10 times in the head. Dawn is hacksawed in half vertically from groin to head.
And they show it, folks.
Standout kill.
Yeah.
They show it.
They show it.
She's the fine vagina from upside down all the way. So Tara is shot at least 7 times. Boo this man.
Yes.
Boo Art the Clown for this one.
That was we expected more from you, sir.
I gotta say it right now. It's the part in the movie that pissed me off so bad the first time, and I still hate it when I watch it. I get it. She's the pseudo final girl. I don't understand why that is, because honestly, there is she is decent as a final girl, and then you bring her sister in later, and her sister fucking sucks.
Oh yeah, her sister blows floppy donkey balls. Like it's
so you kill the one good final girl in this movie with a fucking pistol, no less. Don't even give her a decent death otherwise, and then you bring her fucking sister in, who's almost like a carbon copy of her, although not as hot because she's not got the goth thing going on, and she fucking does nothing but run around until she's finally got her face eaten off.
Yeah, and not only that, but she's running around and doing nothing and making real poor decisions. Like, let me stand by this open door, or this cracked open door. Oh my God. I couldn't with this one. Also, her sister was super, super hot. The makeup department, fucking kudos, because they did these girls up real good.
Oh, yeah. Both Dawn and Tara are very, very nice. The cat lady scalped and skinned and bled to death. I mean, when they say skinned, she had her tits cut off, and then Art paraded around as... Was he nude? I think he was nude during those scenes, wasn't he? I
didn't catch. I just saw the boobs and the hair. And she was scalped because I thought she still had hair when she was like, "Help me."
She had part of it scalped off of her.
That makes sense.
I guess credit to David Howard Thornton. The man is one of those skinny bean poles that he's not a body that you would ever want to look at. Even if you were if I was a gay man or whatever, he's not one. He's just not there. And he's just parading it around. He don't give a shit in this movie. So
he was, and they do show everything. So you get to see the skinned version of her titties. Impressive.
That's true.
Yeah.
Will is stabbed in the head and then decapitated with a hacksaw.
Good one.
Mike has his head squashed by the clown shoe stomp, which is pretty cool effect. Mm-hmm. Art Clown himself shoots himself through the mouth, ending his reign of terror, or does he? Non-counted, and the reason I didn't count these is because they technically, in the sequence of events of the movies, because the way these are filmed, they take place in part 2.
Oh,
they don't
okay.
take place in part 1. The coroner, he dies at the beginning of part 2.
Okay.
And then Monica, her show is going on while after Art has went to the laundromat, and he's watching TV, and he's watching all that. So it takes place during part 2 as well, when she gets her eyes gouged out with, the thumbs or whatever, the final girl from this movie, if you want to call her that. And then has her face kind of just tore up or whatever. But I'm counting it for part 2 because technically takes place in that timeline.
Okay. You know what? I'm starting to realize that I watched the first one recently with my daughter because, you got to bond. Because I had never seen the first one. I had seen the second one. That was the one my daughter introduced me to. And we had watched the first one for the first time, not today, but a few days ago. And I'm starting to think now I probably should have rewatched the second one because I'm thinking I'm going to remember everything, and I can tell that there's details that I have forgotten already.
Yeah, you'll probably remember it once we cover it. It'll be all right.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh no, I'll be fine.
Quotes, the EMT Roman, how can you get a greasy croissant how can you eat a greasy croissant while you're cutting up dead bodies? And the coroner's like, sweetheart, I've been doing this for 22 years. All right. Once you've seen an 8-month old microwave to death, everything else is just old hat.
Yep.
Which that shit happens.
Yes.
And that's such a dark line. I had to put it in here.
Oh, yeah. Me and Nona were dying when we heard that. I was like, what the fuck? I had to replay it for her because she was like, what did I just hear? I was like, oh, no, you heard it right.
And then the cat lady speaking in her crazy talk, punctuality is the thief of time, dear.
Okay, but is it not? She was right. Was she not making the most sense in the world?
She kind of was.
She kind of was,
she was telling them to be quiet, that the evil man was there and Art was there. So, I mean, she wasn't wrong.
Yeah. She was trying to make sense.
Get in the movie review. Visually, this is a pretty decent movie.
Yeah.
For its budget.
Yeah, for a $35,000 budget. Yeah.
The blood, the bodies,
the body and the blood.
The body and the blood. Yeah, it's good stuff. I mean, they did it, and Art is creepy. I've heard people make the argument that they like this movie better because Art is creepier in this movie, and I kind of see that because he does have. I mean, he's like more. He's more sadistic in part 2 for sure, but like because he's more playful. But in this one, he's more of a stalker. Like he's just out to kill in this one.
Yeah,
in a lot of scenes. But getting into the story, it's continuously running around in this abandoned building, in this abandoned parking garage. The scenery doesn't change, and I can't stand that pseudo final girl twist that they do where he pulls a gun out and just kills her. I know some people applauded that and they're like, finally, one of the slashers realized that you got to sometimes use a fucking gun. And I'm like, dude, that's kind of like putting a cheat code on. Like, I don't have much respect for him in that moment because, like, I mean, and part 2 is way better for me because he goes toe to toe with, a friggin' seraph in that movie, a reincarnated, I mean, she comes back to life or whatever, resurrected final girl, and he actually fights her, the right way for a slasher. And I have more respect for part 2 in that sense. I didn't like the gun twist. Well, I mean, what were your thoughts on it?
I remember you mentioning this a while ago, and thankfully, with my brain, maybe that's why I don't get mad at spoilers. I think I forget, and I'm like, oh, it's like watching this for the first time. Wait a second, I kind of remember this in the back of my head. So I did kind of remember it in the back of my head, but I was so fucking furious when I saw it. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Of all the tricks you have in your bag, which, by the way, that bag didn't even jingle one bit. Of all the chains, he made a fucking cattail. He made his own fucking bladed cattail. And
speaking of that, you know what that cattail's made out of?
Huh?
It's in the trivia, but I'm going to bring it up now. It's made out of the hair of his previous victims.
Oh, dirty. That's awesome. That's a nice little spoiler right there. I like that. But yeah, like, of all the things he had in there, he's thrown it over his shoulder. That dude from the pizzeria picked it up hella like it was fucking filled with cotton or stuffing and just threw it outside. Didn't even clink, clink, clink when it hit the ground. No. It's just, that didn't make any sense.
And the gun is perfectly, like, he has all these rusty tools in that garbage bag, but that gun is like polished to a shine. It's like he's got fresh bullets for it. And it's like, now, that makes you an American killer for sure, that you go that route with you, that you take that of your gun. But I don't know. I just can't jive with it. It just don't fit. I didn't
like the fact that he shot her. I didn't think that was I don't know. It was just so lame. She deserved better. She deserved to go out in a better way.
Yeah, and especially since she actually, I mean, between her and her sister, she actually fought back against him and, her sister did at one scene with some kind of pipe or something she found or whatever. But, like, it was Tara that actually fought back against Art in this movie, and she just gets taken out. And some people like that little twist, but I don't know. To me, it would have been fine if that twist had been punctuated by something more after. But they just basically, like I said, took an uglier, better face eaten off, and I'm just like, that's why you got rid of Tara, was for that.
Yeah.
You know what made a better story, in my opinion? If Tara's sister had got their right before that, and her sister had been killed in front of her.
Yes,
and then that was what spurred her on to go after Art just that much more.
Yeah.
For the rest of the movie, and she would have finished the movie out instead of her sister. But whatever.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Was it Tara that was beating? No, it was. It was Tara. I think Tara was beating him with the board and was like, "Get up, get up!" And that was right before she got shot. That was stupid.
She's like, yeah.
I think she should have got away from him, honestly.
Well, she probably should have, but I mean, they just, that's the way they played it out. So, I mean, the acting, now David Howard Thornton or whatever, he does a great job as Art. I'm not going to lie. Like, for a mute slasher, especially, he picks it up in part 2. To my opinion, there's certain things that he does that I almost like the character, because he's like so giddy about, and like playing around with people so much without even saying anything. He's like a weird combination of Michael Myers and Freddy Krueger. Like, he's got the personality of Freddy, but he doesn't speak. It's kind of a weird combination. The acting by the other people, Tara and Dawn, were okay. Mike and some of the other people in that building, Cat Lady, that's what you get with independent films. And then of course the final girl, I didn't think she was good at all, but she, whatever. And then the music, it was there. It didn't really stand out. The music in the second movie is awesome though. It's got that synth wave thing going on.
Yeah.
But this one, not so much. I don't know. I know a lot of people, I've heard people say in recent months that they think this one's better than part 2. I cannot agree with those folks at all.
Part 2, that he was better in part 2, or?
No, they say that that Terrifier 1 as a movie is better than part 2.
I can't really pinpoint that one is better. Well, no, because when we get to part 2, I'll explain what I thought made it better, and I think it's the same thing that you agree is what makes it better. So let's not spoil that right now. But no, officially no, it's not better.
The one thing I'll say about this is, if you watch All Hell's Eve, you watch this, and you watch Terrifier 2, you are seeing Damien Leone take basically the same movie and iterate on it and make it better with each successive movie.
Yeah.
I mean, because literally Terrifier, All Hell's Eve, the Terrifier movie segment, short film segment, this movie, and then Terrifier 2 are basically the same movie, but he's adding more elements in as he gets more money and better actors.
Yeah.
I can't fault him for that. But he's taking one movie and perfecting it. That's what he's literally doing.
Yeah.
And Terrifier 3 is going to be weird because that's going to be set at Christmas, but we'll cover that after part 2.
Which is, we have already decided that we have to have another slasher season.
Yeah.
And it feels like there's another slasher we need to cover for Christmas that Art the Clown is in, which is the mean one.
That is true. We didn't cover Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, which is getting a sequel, by the way.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
I don't know. Maybe we'll have to return to Slasher Pass quicker than we thought we would at some point. But.
Yeah, but we still got zombie. We got witch season. I mean, we can return to it before we do human horror. I'm not in any rush to do human horror, but we got vampires. We've got so much.
Yeah, there's a lot more out there. Anyways, I'm gonna get into trivia so we can kind of wrap this movie up and then we move on to part 2, which I think has a little to talk about.
Yeah.
This movie is based obviously on the short Terrifier from All Hell's Eve. Michael Gianelli played Art the Clown in that movie, but he decided not to reprise his role due to how long it would take to apply the heavy prosthetics and makeup. And David Howard headed victim's blood, but then added salt to it to improve its flavor, and that's what actually got him the role.
Wait. David Howard Thornton was the 6th person who auditioned for the Art the Clown. During the audition, he began miming tasting his beheaded victim's blood, but then added salt. Gross.
Thornton, who portrays Art the Clown, has previous mime experience, which he utilizes in his performance.
Get the fuck out of here with that.
Thornton describes Art as an evil Mr. Bean. He was also inspired by other silent and physical actors such as Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton, Lon Chaney, Doug Jones, and Jim Carrey.
Okay.
The ambulance that drives past Dawn as she listens to the radio broadcast in the car was unplanned. That was a real ambulance that drove by. Just a little bit of coincidental magic.
That's hella cool.
The underground tunnels used in the film were part of the abandoned Seaview Hospital, which was once the largest tuberculosis sanitarium in the U.S. These tunnels were used to transport the dead outside of the other patients where they were to be cremated.
Damn.
They actually have that at the Waverly Hills Sanitarium here in Kentucky, too, which is one of the most haunted places in America.
Oh, yeah.
And they call those the death tunnels, where they would wheel them out so that their bodies wouldn't be seen by others.
Do you hike over there? Don't lie.
No, that's in Louisville. I don't know. That's way out there. The director Damien Leone actively made Art the Clown as different from its Pennywise as much as possible. For example, Art doesn't have hair, he isn't colorful, and he doesn't speak.
Yeah.
So the latex face mold for Art the Clown was the same used by Michael Gianelli. This had to be modified to fit Howard Thornton's face. This added effort was in order to keep the look of the character consistent between film appearances.
I think that's smart.
Yeah, and they did a pretty decent job with it.
Yeah.
The jack-o'-lantern shown in the pizza parlor is CGI. Director Damien Leone said he wanted the scene to have more of a Halloween feel to it, so he added it in post-production.
That's hella funny.
During the tunnel scene with the cat lady where Art the Clown is holding her doll, Emily, David Howard Thornton found her performance so emotionally impactful, he actually cried.
Wow. I mean, I felt bad for her because she's like, show mercy. Like, she's all I have. She really believes that doll's her baby, you know?
Yeah. The scene in the pizza restaurant was originally meant to take place in a burger restaurant, but Damon Leone changed this when he realized that both Jenna Cannell and Catherine Cochran are vegetarian.
Wasn't there? I thought there was pepperoni on there.
It might have been that fake pepperoni, that shit that's made out of like
soy
faux meat. Yeah. David Howard Thornton, while on break during filming, spotted two women arguing in the street. He decided to wave at them in full makeup and costume as Art the Clown to freak them out.
Oh, that's awesome. I would love that.
Catherine Cochran, who played Dawn, was filming Chuck and another horror movie during the making of this film, while Jenna Cannell, Tara, was also filming The Bye-Bye Man. Will the Exterminator is played by Michael Levy, who was also the Staten Island Clown. This character apparently started the viral scary clown craze in 2014. 2 years prior to the Great Clown Panic of 2016, the same year this film was released.
Oh, that's hella funny, because I remember that.
I wish we could go back to just scary clowns on the side of the road being the only thing we had to worry about. 2020, COVID, the summer of love, hyperinflation, a president that shits himself when he gets on stage. Let's go back to scary clowns, folks.
Yeah.
Our world's way worse now.
Take us back.
Art the Clown's flail is made out of the hair of his victims along with sharp metal instruments. There you go. That's metal, man. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
That's some dark shit.
It is.
When asked during an interview in April 2023 if there was any criticism of this film that surprised him, director Damien Leone said, "I get constantly accused of being misogynistic. Of course, today it's inevitable. What really shocked me was being called transphobic because of the scene where Art skins and wears the woman. It makes me laugh because it wouldn't be any further away from what I am, raised by all women and everything. It's so funny to me. I think it's just so comfortable tackling sexual violence because I was raised by all women that I don't think about those things when I'm doing it. I don't think I'm offending. I'm not trying to offend, so there's really nothing I'm not afraid to show."
Yeah. Speak it.
The fact that they claim that's transphobic where he skins the woman. What do they think about Leatherface? Like, I mean, seriously, some of these people honestly have probably never went back and don't even know what that is. But I guarantee you, if you took some of these woke nuts and you showed them like Leatherface with like the lipstick on, transphobe, like that's what they'd be screaming, like constantly.
I don't know. I don't know what people are expecting anymore. You can't please everyone, so I'm glad he just kind of shot back with like, no, I'm not trying to do this. Basically, shut the fuck up.
And that's what honestly, if you want to continue and you don't want to get shut down by the mob, standing up to them is actually the best thing, because as soon as you say I'm sorry, you're done for. They don't take your apology with any kind of real sincerity, and they just basically use it as shaming at that point.
Yeah.
Jenna Cannell performed.
I mean, yeah, she performed all her stunts. She looks like a badass.
There, so.
Have you seen? Okay, so I'm actually looking at photos of Jenna Cannell right now. I don't know. I don't really know any other films she's been, but I can tell she plays. Okay, she reminds me of the actress we just talked about this season in that French film.
What, High Tension?
High Tension. So, because there's one picture where she's shaved completely bald. She wears a lot of tank tops and rugged jeans. And much like that actress, she also still manages to look very good, you know?
Yeah, it actually says here that she actually does stunts and a lot of stuff. She's performed while riding motorcycles, driving stunt cars, airborne in harnesses, underwater with weapons. I mean, she's into that shit.
She's a badass, and she's only 5'4". Now that's like maybe 1 to 2 inches taller than me, depending on what day it is and what I'm wearing. But she's tiny.
And you would have got that from her in this movie because she plays an ultra feminine character in this movie. So I mean, anyways, it's kind of nuts. Finally, the Craven Halloween store advertised on the radio was obviously named after Wes Craven.
Yeah.
Death Holler Awards. Vicky, shit final girl, just shit all the way around. She's as shitty and nutty as
oh, gross.
Girls that he does.
I know what you're saying. You cut out, but you said you're as shitty as nutty, and I knew what you were getting at, even though it fucking cut out.
As Art the Clown's bathroom, pictorials. Yes.
Yeah, gross. Vicky didn't want to live, and in a way, Vicky was killed. She died. She
did die because the thing that's going around now as Vicky is not her.
That's not Vicky. Yeah, that's unfortunate.
He's the inheritor of the old guard. He is definitely of a new generation of slasher.
Yeah. And Art the Clown, would you say he solidified himself as a slasher like Chucky and the rest of them?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I think he is in their league now. I mean, especially with that third film coming up, I think he's officially the new wave of these old horror icons, and that's fine. I mean, we don't need a million of the old. I mean, not to say that I wouldn't love to have a new Nightmare on Elm Street or a new Friday the 13th, but if they want to come up with new slashers to add to the mix, do it.
Yeah.
I mean, we need them. The best kill, it's Dawn. It's a literal meme with Scooby-Doo, as you know, right behind you. So. Right
behind me. There you go. For your viewing pleasure. I'll get out the way.
I mean, for God's sake, he saws her from her vagina.
Yeah, and not only does he do that, they fucking show it. Like, I was watching with my daughter, and we were like, oh, they're not going to show it. Then all of a sudden, you see a fucking saw in the middle of butt cheeks, and you're like, oh, my God, they're fucking showing it.
Yeah, they don't steer away from any of the stuff.
Mm-mm.
Best scream, probably Tara.
Yeah.
When she sees Dawn being cut into pieces.
Oh, yeah.
Best boobs. I put best. It's not Vicky. I meant Dawn in this whenever I typed it up. But yeah, Dawn hanging upside down with her boobs exposed. They're probably the best. You could say the cat lady.
I was gonna say the cat lady.
That's looking. So there's that. Best side character, the exterminator guy.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's not a whole lot of extra people in this movie. So
I mean, he tried. It's like that, The Simpsons, where you have that cake and it says, at least you tried. He tried. I mean, he came back after getting brained in the head with a hammer and still tried to take Art on.
Franklin Ward, Cat Lady. I mean, she's.
I really think Vicky.
Now, I'll actually give you that. Vicky is worse. So there you go.
Yeah, because Cat Lady, she doesn't have all her faculties in place.
That's true, but she does get the Doom Prophet award because she is the Doom Prophet.
Ultimate Doom Prophet. Only slightly annoying and definitely like hot for a crazy person, and not like this girl is hot and she's crazy. No. She is genuinely crazy. And she means no harm, for sure.
And hot, crazy Ralph. That's what we got in this movie. Dumbest moment. To me, it's the fact that they looked at Art the way that he looks on a dark night when they were out by themselves, and they made fun of him. Like, don't poke the bear. Don't even, if you see him, wave at him. Even that'll probably get you killed from Art because he's weird. But definitely don't fucking make fun of him. I mean, that's just going too far.
Tara didn't make fun of him. She was just terrified of him. Tara, terrified. She was terrified of him, and the way he was staring at her in the restaurant, he definitely loves himself a brunette. He's a brunette guy. He don't like blondes.
Does he love a brunette or does he love a goth? Because I feel like it's a little bit of both for Art.
A brunette goth. Can you have? I guess you can have a blonde goth, but is that fun? You know?
I mean, they say blondes have more fun, but not as goths.
Not as goths, no, because that's the lighter side of goth, and when you're goth, you just want to go all dark. The only thing that's supposed to be light is your skin, you know? And
that's true.
And I mean, God, you can have more than one color goth, so it's just the hair's got to be dark, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, you have a fair point, because I would say the Craft or whatever, the black girl in that one who was kind of goth like, she was pretty hot. She was pretty hot.
Also, do we think that oh God, do we think Dawn's boobs were real? I'm going with yes. The way they were sitting when she was upside down, it looked real to me.
Okay, that's what I was trying to debate, because they did have like some gravity to them. They wasn't like in this one, so we'll say yes.
Yeah, she's got nice boobies, and nice boobies when you're young and don't have kids. They stand. They're perk. Some women even have harder than normal natural breastises. Not to make this conversation get weird, and I'm wondering if she's just one of them because she's still young, you know. But then when she went upside down, I was like, oh, them things look real, because I don't know. I don't want to get too specific with it. It gets real pervy real fast. They were real, in my opinion, and I am a professional. I own a set.
What about those ass cheeks that were getting clapped by Hacksaw?
Good God. They showed it. They really did show it. They were jiggly. But then again, so was she while she was being sawed. So, you know.
That's true.
It was funny because my daughter was like, how is she still alive? You know, while he's sawing all the way. At this point, he's down past her belly button. I was like, she's not alive. Her body's just moving because he's sawing through her.
I don't know, because when we get to part 2, I mean, it goes ludicrous how long one of the victims in that movie
oh, God.
stays alive.
I know which one you're talking about. We'll get to that.
To wrap this movie up, I don't... this is okay.
Yeah.
Like, I don't hate this movie, but I hate that part with the gun. I really do.
It's disappointing. We were hurt. But it's okay. It was made up. I mean, everything else was pretty legit, so... Let's not focus on one bad thing. Let's focus on all the good.
Yeah, I mean, and we do get a new horror icon in Art, so there's that.
Yeah.
Know. All right. We're going to wrap it up this episode for Terrifier 1, and then we'll catch you back up with Terrifier 2 on the next one. With that, folks, peace be with you.
And with your spirit.